Welcome to this installment of the Straight Edge Game Room. Today we're going to be looking at a line of mini arcades that I like very much by a company called Basic Fun. However, before we look at any of the good ones that they've made, let's look at the bad ones and get them out of the way. Pac Man. This is the one where they really dropped the ball. Those ones in the back have real arcade graphics. These ones right here, they do not. We're going to review two of them, but they're the same game. Only difference is this one lights up and this one's just LCD. Let's get into it. Well, to be fair, bad is kind of a harsh word for these little arcades. They're not particularly bad in their own merit, but by comparison to the other mini arcades that Basic Fun has released, they are subpar.
I don't know what happened there.
Well, there's many ways you can look at this. If you're a fan of 80s arcade Pac Man, you will have fun with this, even though it feels like it's 30 some odd years too late. But I can't help but compare it to some of the superior mini arcades released by Basic Fun. I might just be a little bit snobbish here, but I can see one way and I can see the other. I can see the merit in this, and I can also see the detriment. They actually have the arcade music and sound, so that's a plus. In all fairness, they're not the worst games, and they are kind of fun even though they're reduced to this little LED or LCD template. So I might have just set myself up for disappointment, but just look at it. Look how beautiful it is. You would have thought the same thing. It looks just like the other ones. Now, my feelings towards this one might be kind of pessimistic because I had the LCD one before I had the LED light-up one. And when I brought home the LED light-up one, I was thinking it was going to be like Joust and Cubert. But boy, was I terribly wrong. It was the exact same thing as the LCD handheld, the same exact game, only it lit up. How well does this limited technology imitate Pac Man? Well, it's as Pac Man as it can be, and Pac Man is a very simple concept, and it works fairly well on this kind of game. Of course, like the Act 1 and the Act 2 between the two levels you beat are not present in these versions, but I really didn't expect them to be. But other than that, it represents Pac Man fairly well. It's a little disorienting to play these games through the camera. However, I don't think I'm doing too bad. These games have two modes of gameplay. There's Game A and Game B. Right now I'll talk a little bit about Game A, but we won't get too much into that because I think most people have played Pac Man and know what to expect. Once you eat a power pellet, the ghosts flicker. They don't change color. You can't expect them to in this, but they flicker for a little bit to indicate their vulnerability, and eventually that wears off. Thankfully, this also has the arcade sounds. Though it doesn't have the arcade graphics, it does have the sound. Alright, we've taken a look at the gameplay. We're going to take a look at the units themselves. I have a little bit of a dry throat, so forgive me if I sound a little scratchy and I clear my throat every now and then. But in any case, these look great. They look fantastic. I like the designs, even though that's not the actual side art on that arcade machine, but we'll forgive that. Now, these have, I guess the word is rudimentary graphics, where they're just a template. This one's on an LED light display, well, this one is on LCD. Those ones, I'll pull one up real quick, actually have arcade graphics. It's got a load, and we'll review this one in the future, but you see this one actually has actual arcade graphics. These ones are just mimicking arcade graphics on a template. But they're not the worst. I don't think they're the worst games I've ever played. They are kind of fun, but they are a little bit of a letdown if you started off with one of those and then ended up one of these, thinking that you're going to get what's on these. This one has 2 AA batteries, where this one takes 3 because it has a light. start button is right here. And it has the actual arcade sound. And once you pause it, let me pull it up to the mic. That's what it sounds like when you pause it. This is for game B. Let me turn it off and turn it back on. Pull it up closer to the camera. This switches to game B, and I'll show you what game B is like in just a moment. However, what I don't like about this one is that the control stick, the joystick, is in the middle. Your thumb can get in the way, as you saw me playing earlier, and obscure what's on the screen because where they put the stick. This one was a little bit more practical, where they move the joystick to the side. And the same thing with this one, you can pause it, and so they're both the same. And this one also has game B, and I'll show you guys that in just a moment. But yeah, they are fun looking. They are fantastic. It's just, they're just, as I said a couple of times already, they just are a little bit of a letdown from one of these. Where these are great. I really like these, and I'll review these individually in the future. Here I am playing the game on game B. So the major difference on game B is that the pattern is swapped. Instead of eating all of the power pellets on the map, you only got 4, and you have to avoid the ghosts. Once you get all 4, you gotta come back to this little square in the middle, make your way as soon as that door opens before any of the ghosts touch you. And that's pretty much it. Does game B add any replay value? It kind of does. It gives you a little bit of variety. It's kind of like capture the flag. You gotta make your way out there, capture 4 flags without getting hit, and then make it back to the Citadel. As I said earlier, I am at a bit of a handicap trying to play this game through the camera, but that's not the fault of the game itself.
Darn it. Open up. Oh, darn it. Yes. Just barely made it.
Pac Man mini arcades by Basic Fun. They're not the worst, but they are a bit of a disappointment if you have your expectation to the height of Basic Fun's other mini arcade releases. However, if you do give these a chance, they will grow on you. Well, that does it for this episode of the Straight Edge Game Room. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, tune in again for future episodes of the Straight Edge Game Room. Drop a comment if you have any suggestions for any video game or video game accessories you want me to review. And I'll see you again later. You guys take care.